Good evening and welcome to Prime Business. I am Emma Davis. A look at our stories. The Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has expressed doubts that issues concerning the quality of some petroleum products supplied by Central Oil Refinery will affect confidence in the sector. According to the Chamber, it is too premature to conclude the developments could have an impact on the industry. Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Dr. Patrick Ekofori, tells Joy Business the issue must be treated on a case-by-case basis to ascertain its true impact on supply.
I don't necessarily think so because currently, if you check the supply dynamics, the chunk of the product are still coming out from external sources, which when those products comes in, the regulator and then the Ghana Standard Authority test those vessels before they are even dispatching. So it's not just something that we can just use a small percentage of incidents to really rubbish the whole confidence that the sector has delivered or the quality standards that the sector has delivered, especially judging from the mix of or the diversity of supply source. And it's also wrong that maybe if a particular incident happen, we generalize it across, but I don't think it will be fair to the other players within the sector. So I think we should treat this on a case-by-case basis and then also hold on to the regulator and ensure that he's able to do what is expected of them and put in the required measures. But I think it's also something that Century themselves recognize that it's not acceptable, and I think they are working around the clock to avoid it, because after putting up such huge investment, you don't want anything that will affect your reputation and your brand. And I think it's something that they are carefully considering to ensure that they all work hard and ensure the standard are maintained.
Ghana could produce about 492,000 metric tons of cocoa beans in the 2023-2024 crop season, about 27.9% less than the 683,000 metric tons of cocoa beans recorded in the 2022-2023 crop season. That's according to some stakeholders in the cocoa industry who spoke to Joy Business on condition of anonymity. Here's more in this report.
The fall in cocoa production is due to illegal gold mining, adverse weather conditions, smuggling activities, and the prevalence of swollen shoot disease. In the 2021-2022 crop season, the country produced about 750,000 metric tons of cocoa beans. Since then, cocoa production has taken a nosedive. A careful analysis shows that the country's cocoa production has been dwindling for the past 3 years. This may continue if drastic measures are not instituted by the regulator and other stakeholders. Reuters have reported that Ghana's cocoa output for the 2023-2024 seasons is expected to go down by almost 40%, below a target of 820,000 metric tons. This could have implications for the country's trade surplus, since cocoa is one of the major traditional export earners.
Banks have indicated that they will move quickly to drop interest rates as long as other variables like inflation and policy rates continue to drop. Inflation rate had declined significantly over the past 6 months, as well as a marginal drop in policy rates. However, some have questioned the impact of these developments on the cost of credit. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, President of the Ghana Association of Banks, Johnny Wa, said there are banks that are servicing loans and they are benefiting.
Banks operate in an environment where the cost of funds is high. A policy rate is 29%, Ghana reference rate is at 31%. Where do you want the bank to lend? You know, Ghana reference rate is the benchmark rate. It's at 31. What rate do you want the banks to lend? So it's the fundamentals that drive the interest rate. Banks before 2022, the average lending rate was around 20%. Inflation, I believe, was around 13 or 12%. What's the name? The 91-day benchmark was around 13.5%. Banks lending rates, some banks were lending at 17, 18%. Nobody told the banks to do this. It's the macro variables and fundamentals that moved or trended in a direction that enabled the banks to respond.
So if the macro situation improves, automatically the cost of credit.
I have a graph here that I'll show you before you leave here. And I'll show you over the period, whenever rates have trended, the lending rate has followed suit. And in some cases, or in fact, a majority of the cases, when it is trending downwards, the lending rate trends more aggressively downwards. And that file or that graph, I've demonstrated it in a meeting with IEA before, because they were talking about lending rates, and I showed it to them, and even on their own graph in that meeting, I pointed them to that fundamental fact that it is the other rates that drive the lending rate. The lending rate is a derivative. It's not a rate that just comes. It is an interplay of the Ghana reference rate, and Ghana reference rate is an interplay of three variables. You have the interbank rate, you have the policy rate, and you have the 91-day benchmark. So if that rate, which is supposed to be the floor of lending rate, is at 31, where should the bank be lending?
Mr. What was the impact of this on new credit? Because there are some who are saying that the banks are not lending. What is this on Kojo Mensah, who has a viable business and everything and wants to approach Mr. Wua Bank? Are you lending, and are you going to lend to fresh lending to businesses?
Sitting here, I have not heard, and even yesterday we had a meeting here. I have not heard from any bank that is saying that we have frozen credit.
The Ghana Statistical Service has announced that it will publish data on underemployment in the country in May this year. The service believes the data will help detect labor that are being underutilized and properly engage the workforce of the country for optimum output. Speaking on the AM show, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim is hopeful the data will help shape national policy on training and education.
Sorry, I always want to put things in a bigger context, then I narrow down on the question. Unfortunately, over the years, the conversation around economic statistics from a Ghana Statistical Service point of view, and predominantly from a nationwide point of view, has been restricted to gross domestic product and price indices. We really want to move away from that conversation, and that is why we've started institutionalizing labor statistics, which going forward, we're going to treat it like GDP. Every quarter, we're going to put out labor statistics. Okay. In addition to that, every quarter, we're going to put out trade statistics. We are hoping to see a situation where Ghana Statistical Service has about 6 core economic statistics that it produces: GDP, price indices, labor statistics, trade statistics. A situation where Ghana Statistical Service would now be regularly reporting on government finance statistics. And thirdly, we have, and lastly...
And that will also save us from the, this person says this, but the statistician says that. So then you know what is there. Absolutely. The politician can't come and say it is this when in fact it is
Absolutely.
that.
Then the last area is where we have a high frequency economic indicator, which is not necessarily the GDP, but gets us to look at the sectors or the interventions that are really turning the wheel of our economy, rather than doing it on a quarterly basis. So going forward, that is what we want to do. Coming back to your question on labor statistics, when we did the release, we emphasized the need for us to look at relationships between different labor statistics. Unfortunately, our conversation around labor statistics has focused on unemployment rate. It's really not helpful, because with the release that we put out there, we saw that if you take only 3 labor statistics, i.e., the employment to population ratio, which we call the absorption rate, if you take unemployment rate and you take the youth that are not in education, employment and training, we saw that these variables were moving in different directions. Absorption rate was going up, the employment to population ratio was going up, which is good. We saw that the youth not in education, employment and training was also going down over the period, which is also good. But we saw that unemployment was going up. So it's always important to look at different labor variables.
DMT Collateral and Veridapt have partnered to digitalize commodity trade finance in the West Africa market. According to the managing director of DMT Collateral, Paul Menla, this collaboration will provide the much-needed business confidence and transparency for financiers and suppliers.
Leading collateral manager DMT and global digital monitoring technology innovators Veridapt have partnered to bridge the physical and digital gap in collateral monitoring services to take inventory verification to a new level of transparency in one of the world's fast-growing commodity regions. In an interview with Joy Business, the managing director of DMT Collateral West Africa, Paul Minla, said the collaboration provides the needed business and transparency for financiers.
This arrangement or collaboration with Veridapt takes the transparency to another level where they have real-time visibility. It gives more comfort. Then they have more confidence to be able to finance more products. So if we can think of bringing the tap and go onto the trotro market, which I understand GPRT is saying it does not work, then I think our market is more than ready for this type of technology. The most important thing is that we do a lot of trade transactions in this country, both in fuels and other products. And I think that this transparency will give confidence not only to financiers, but even suppliers to be able to have that confidence that let's take this product to Ghana because I'll have the visibility that I'm looking for.
The Chief Revenue Officer of Veridapt, Tawfiq Hamid, emphasized the impact of digitalization.
A lot of times we think, oh, digital means we take paper documents and we convert them into online forms or online forms of data and you send data back and forth. But the paper is only one part of the problem, especially when we're talking about physical commodities. What happens with that paper? It's associated with finance, with money moving. So you have to combine the paper, the money, and the physical commodity, and all of those three things, there are international rules around that. When a commodity moves from point A to point B, it changes hands sometimes. There's a custody transfer, the ownership transfers. Then there's a payment that's triggered, and there's appropriate documentation that has to happen to make sure that then all the regulations are being followed and that the principles of that transaction are being met.
Dr. Humphrey Enyimdaka is the president of the Association of Ghana Industries.
If you are fortunate to have a supplier who is willing to give you documents against acceptance and then send their stocks to you, offload it into your warehouse, and then expect you to partner them to distribute in the last line, it's excellent to have such technology to give comfort to your suppliers.
The partnership underscores the digital shift underway in Africa and worldwide in commodities inventory management.
To an unfortunate story, fire has reduced to piles of ashes a 50-acre maize plantation belonging to some 3 young entrepreneurs in the Wenchi municipality of the Bono region. A devastated manager of the group, Kwame Paul, said he is left distraught as they have no alternative means of paying debts incurred on the farm. They are appealing to authorities to come to their aid and enable them get back to their feet ahead of the next planting season. Anas Sabit has more.
3 young entrepreneurs, Prince, Paul, and Boahem, decided to venture into agriculture as starters. In fact, they acquired some 50 acres of land, farmlands here at the Wenchi Branham State Farms, where they decided to get into maize farming. Sadly, this, bright entrepreneurial, venture they started got razed down by bushfires some 2-3 days into the harvesting period. Unfortunately, leaving the 3 in a state of shock. Prince is one of 3 who are, the owners of these PPB farms. He's been sharing with me how the situation left him in a state of shock.
I was waiting on the chairman to call me one Thursday morning so that we could come to the farm. I was there in the room when I received a call that the ladies who came to the farm said the farm is burnt. In fact, I was on the phone for a couple of minutes. I didn't know what to say. So we had to rush in here. In fact, I was really in a great shock. Even though I still had that energy to continue with the partnership, I must say I was down for a while.
It was actually a sad day for us. For 50 acres, we're estimating to get about 400 to 500 bags of maize, but as we speak now, we didn't get virtually anything. It's not even up to 20 bags because the whole farm got burnt. So
it wasn't easy. 50 acres of land. Putting aside the money invested, our time and other stuff. So looking at 50 acres of land and then the cost involved. In fact, on the very day we met the farm being consumed by fire, that evening I didn't bath even before going to bed. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
I believe that the unavailability of machinery to aid them from the start to the finishing line contributed partly to why their farm was razed down by bushfire. In fact, they spent almost 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks to acquire manual laborers who could have helped them during the harvesting period. They say if they had harvesters, machinery that could aid them harvest this, the farm could have been harvested long before the bushfire that razed it down.
We have machines, it could have quickened us, and even if you have harvester, we don't think we would have gotten to this point because by the time it was ready, getting the labor to come and help us to do the harvesting, that actually delayed us. It took us about 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we know government is urging the youth to venture into agriculture, but they can't do so without support, especially when people have to gather resources and then face this particular development. So these three are not giving up yet. They really want to get back here when the planting season is on, but they need support. They need to be given the needed support, and so they are calling on authorities to come to their aid to save them from losing everything, including their interest into agriculture.
For us, the beginners, hopefully if either the government or the individuals or the NGO or to the globe, if any is coming in to assist us, you'll be grateful. Even if not necessarily in cash, with machines. Even if not for free and it's for credit on credit base or for partnership.
So you've seen for yourself how the situation has left these three, Paul, Prince, and Boahim, in a state of shock. They are not giving up. They need more to get back to their feet. From the Wenchi Branham State Farms for Joy News, my name is Anna Savage reporting.
Well, that's quite a sad story there to lose such an investment. You're still watching Prime Business with me, Emma Davis. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome, thanks for staying. Unilever Ghana PLC, producers of Pepsodent, has announced the relaunch of its innovative product, Pepsodent Charcoal Toothpaste. Let's go live with my colleague, Jesse Ayramagbapo, for some updates at the relaunch ceremony happening this evening. Hello, Jesse. Tell us about the reason behind this today's event.
Here at East Legon, where Unilever Ghana PLC, producers of Pepsodent, are relaunching their Pepsodent Charcoal Toothpaste. And I have here with me Ms. Vera Boidu, Category Manager for Oral Care. Hello. All right, so we know there's charcoal toothpaste, Pepsodent Charcoal Toothpaste on the market already. So tell us about your decision to relaunch this product.
Thank you very much. For us at Unilever, our job is always to meet the ever-changing needs of the consumer. We try our best to exceed their expectations, as always. And for us, we engage them, we talk to them, they give us feedback on the products, what more we could have done better, what more we could do to meet their ever-changing needs. And that's what we did with this Pepsodent charcoal. We listened to their feedback, we took it in, went back to our labs, reformulated, and have come back with a better product containing more charcoal for the whitening, which they have asked for, containing zinc, in addition to the lemon, to give them the fresh breath which they want, and then containing the fluoride at the maximum level for the strong teeth, which our consumers have known Pepsodent to stand for. So all of this make our new mix one of the best products on the market to give our consumers, meet their ever-changing needs of our consumers.
So who can use this newly relaunched product?
So for us, everybody who is at the age of brushing can use the new Pepsodent product. The recommendation is that kids below 6 years use a pea size, and those above 6 years can use a full size, as we normally do when brushing our teeth.
So should customers expect an increase in their prices on the market?
The good news is that this has been done at the same price as current, so no price increase is supposed to be expected by our customers on this. It's coming at the same price as we have known it in the market. With all the improvements, we have kept it. Understanding the economic conditions in Ghana, understanding the needs of our consumers, we have maintained the price so everybody can benefit from it.
Finally, where can people buy this product?
This can be found everywhere. As you know, with Unilever products, we do our best to make sure it is at in your neighborhood groceries, in your malls, in your supermarkets, wherever it is that you do your normal grocery shopping, you will be able to find the new Pepsodent charcoal there.
So I was speaking with Vera Buedu, category manager of oral care at Unilever Ghana. And if you heard what she just said, there's a new addition, an the charcoal content in the product, so consumers can purchase them at the exact same price. Over to you, Emma, in the studios.
Thank you very much, Jessie. Jessie Magmapo is my colleague, and she reported for us there. And that's all for tonight on Prime Business with me, Emma Davis, and of course, with Pepsodent, every smile matters. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.